For years, I watched talented, driven people, myself included, bang their heads against invisible walls. We'd read the books, attend the seminars, and implement the strategies, yet somehow end up right back where we started. The bank account stayed stubbornly flat. The confidence remained shaky. The breakthrough always seemed just one more course away. Then I discovered something that changed everything. We weren't broken. Our strategies weren't flawed. We were simply trying to override 95% of our decision-making power with the 5% we could consciously control. Think about that for a moment. Science confirms that nearly all your daily decisions, from what opportunities you notice to how you respond to challenges, are made by your subconscious mind. It's like trying to steer a ship by adjusting the sails while ignoring the autopilot controlling the rudder. No wonder we keep circling back to the same port. This book exists because I got tired of watching capable people settle for less than they deserve. I got tired of seeing entrepreneurs work themselves into the ground with minimal results. Most of all, I got tired of the lie that success requires grinding harder when what it really requires is reprogramming smarter. Inside these pages, you'll discover how childhood experiences created invisible scripts that still dictate your financial ceiling today. You'll learn why visualization isn't just woo-woo nonsense, but a scientifically backed method high performers use to pre-program success. You'll understand how to literally rewire your subconscious to spot opportunities others miss, and you'll get a practical 3-part framework for rebuilding your identity at the deepest level. This isn't another motivational pep talk or collection of productivity hacks. This is about changing the operating system that runs your life. It's about installing automatic patterns that drive peak performance without the constant struggle. Whether you've tried everything before or you're skeptical this could work for you, I invite you to approach these pages with an open mind. The principles you're about to learn have transformed thousands of lives, including my own. They're grounded in neuroscience, proven through real-world application, and waiting to unlock the success that's already coded within you. Your breakthrough doesn't require more effort. It requires new programming. Let's begin. Chapter 1, Wake-Up Call. The clock blinks 3 a.m. Another sleepless night replaying missed opportunities, stalled income, relationships on autopilot. You're working harder than ever, yet the needle barely moves. Here's the brutal truth. 95% of your results, your bank balance, your relationships, your daily choices were decided by mental code written before you could drive. This isn't about motivation. This isn't about hustle. This is about the invisible operating system running your life while you think you're in control. The autopilot illusion. Right now, as you read this, your subconscious mind is processing 11 million bits of information per second. Your conscious mind? A measly 40 bits. That's like comparing a supercomputer to a pocket calculator. Yet we pretend the calculator is running the show. Dual process theory reveals the stark reality. System 1, your subconscious, operates at lightning speed, making snap judgments based on pattern recognition and emotional memory. System 2, your conscious mind, mostly rubber stamps those decisions after the fact. You think you're choosing your morning routine, your business strategy, your response to stress. In reality, you're following scripts written years ago. Consider this. Why do some entrepreneurs consistently spot million-dollar opportunities while others miss them entirely? Same market, same information, radically different outcomes. The difference isn't intelligence or luck, it's programming. Your reticular activating system, RAS, acts like a bouncer at an exclusive club, deciding what information gets through to your conscious awareness. If your internal programming says money is scarce, your RAS will filter out abundance opportunities while highlighting every threat to your financial security. If your self-image whispers, "I'm not leadership material," you'll unconsciously sabotage every chance to step up. The drift tax. Here's what inaction costs you. Career stagnation. While you're waiting for motivation to strike, competitors with better mental programming are capturing market share. They're not smarter, they're running superior code. Their subconscious minds are wired to see opportunities, take calculated risks, and persist through setbacks. Yours might be programmed for safety, perfectionism, or people-pleasing. Relationship erosion, your reactive patterns, the way you handle conflict, express needs, or show affection, are running on childhood scripts. That defensive response when criticized? That's not you choosing to protect yourself. That's a 7-year-old survival strategy still calling the shots. Meanwhile, your relationships suffer as you repeat the same dysfunctional loops. Health deterioration. Chronic stress isn't just about your workload. It's about your subconscious threat detection system running in overdrive. When your programming interprets every challenge as a crisis, your body floods with stress hormones. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a symptom of faulty mental software. The drift tax compounds daily. Every month, you delay reprogramming your subconscious is another month of missed opportunities, strained relationships, and diminished vitality. The winner's advantage. Champions understand something strugglers don't. The mind is software, not hardware. It can be rewritten. Take Usain Bolt. Before every world record, he ran the race thousands of times in his mind. His subconscious didn't distinguish between mental rehearsal and physical practice. Both carved the same neural pathways. When he stepped onto the track, his body was executing a program it had already perfected. Oprah Winfrey rewrote her identity from poor, unwanted girl to media mogul and global influencer. She didn't wait for external validation. She changed her internal narrative first. Her subconscious mind began filtering reality through this new identity, spotting opportunities that aligned with her reimagined self-concept. Elon Musk built SpaceX on relentless feedback loops. Every rocket explosion wasn't failure, it was data feeding back into the system, refining the program. His subconscious learned to treat setbacks as course corrections, not catastrophes. These aren't genetic gifts, they're programmable skills. The thermostat effect. Psycho-cybernetics research reveals your self-image acts like an internal thermostat. Just as a thermostat maintains room temperature by heating or cooling as needed, your subconscious maintains your results within your comfort zone. Try to exceed your internal set point, and it will sabotage you back to familiar territory. This explains why lottery winners often return to their previous financial status within years. Their external circumstances changed, but their internal programming remained the same. Their subconscious worked overtime to restore the familiar, even if familiar meant struggle. The same mechanism operates in reverse. Raise your internal thermostat, and your subconscious becomes your ally, working 24/7 to match your external reality to your upgraded self-image. Your reprogramming blueprint. This book delivers 7 precision tools to rewrite your mental code. Identity code comes first because identity drives everything else. You'll craft a 1-sentence declaration that becomes your new operating system. When you know who you are, decisions become automatic. Belief reset follows because limiting beliefs act like viruses in your mental software. You'll identify and overwrite the childhood decisions still sabotaging your adult ambitions. Prime Zone redesigns your environment to cue peak performance automatically. When your surroundings support your goals, willpower becomes irrelevant. Visual power harnesses mental rehearsal to build neural pathways before real-world execution. You'll win twice, first in your mind, then in reality. State anchors give you emotional control on demand. Install triggers that summon confidence, calm, or drive whenever you need them. Wealth wiring reprograms your relationship with money and opportunity. Your RAS will begin flagging profit potential instead of scarcity threats. Feedback loop creates self-correcting systems that accelerate growth while minimizing effort. You'll iterate like Musk, not ruminate like the masses. Each step builds leverage for the next. Identity shapes beliefs. Beliefs filter environment. Environment fuels visualization. The compound effect is exponential. The compound promise. Master this sequence and watch what unfolds. Automated peak performance. Your success habits will run themselves. Decision fatigue disappears when your subconscious knows the script. Your opportunity radar locks onto ROI deals while filtering out distractions. Money becomes data, not drama. Calm command. You'll make decisions with bulletproof inner poise, even under extreme pressure. Stress becomes fuel, not friction. This isn't positive thinking or motivation porn. This is precision engineering for human performance. The choice point. You stand at a crossroads. Path 1. Continue running yesterday's programming, hoping different inputs will somehow produce different outputs. Path 2. Take control of the code that controls your life. Winners treat their minds like software. Upgradable, optimizable, debuggable. Losers blame external circumstances while their internal programming sabotages every opportunity. The clock is running. Every day you delay is another day. Your competitors pull ahead, running superior mental software, while you're stuck in legacy mode. But here's what most people don't realize about the subconscious mind. It's not just programmable, it's eager to be programmed. It's been waiting for you to take the wheel. In the next chapter, we'll start with the foundation that determines everything else, your identity. Because until you know who you are, you'll keep living someone else's script. And that script was written by a child who didn't know what you know now. The transformation begins with a single sentence, but that sentence will rewrite everything. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2, Identity Code. I'm the greatest. Muhammad Ali shouted it from rooftops, whispered it in training camps, and declared it to skeptical reporters years before he had any titles to prove it. The world called him arrogant. History called him prophetic. But Ali understood something most people miss. Identity isn't discovered, it's declared. Your identity is the master key to your subconscious programming. It's the lens through which your brain filters every opportunity, every challenge, every choice. Change your identity, and you change everything. Ignore it, and you'll spend your life fighting against your own mental operating system. Here's what's fascinating. Your current identity wasn't chosen by you. It was assembled from fragments, childhood comments, early failures, social feedback, cultural programming, a teacher's offhand remark about your math skills, a parent's frustrated sigh when you ask too many questions, a coach's assessment of your athletic potential. These moments crystallized into beliefs about who you are, and those beliefs became your invisible ceiling. But here's the secret Ali discovered. Identity is code, and code can be rewritten. The invisible governor. Think of identity as your internal governor, that device that limits an engine's maximum speed to prevent damage. Your identity governor does the same thing, keeping your performance within safe parameters based on your self-concept. This explains why talented people often plateau far below their potential. Their skills could take them higher, but their identity keeps them grounded. A brilliant analyst who sees herself as just a numbers person will unconsciously sabotage leadership opportunities. An innovative entrepreneur who identifies as small town will find ways to keep his business local even when expansion beckons. The thermostat effect is relentless. Push beyond your identity's comfort zone, and your subconscious will engineer a return to familiar territory. It might manifest as self-sabotage, procrastination, or sudden bad luck. Your brain isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to keep you consistent with who it thinks you are. This is why willpower fails. You're not just fighting external obstacles, you're fighting your own identity. And identity always wins. The RAS connection. Your reticular activating system operates like a sophisticated filter, deciding what information reaches your conscious awareness. But here's the crucial part. Your RAS is programmed by your identity. If you identify as someone who struggles with money, your RAS will highlight every financial threat while filtering out abundance opportunities. You'll notice every bill, every expense, every economic downturn. Meanwhile, investment opportunities, partnership possibilities, and revenue streams will slip past your awareness like ghosts. If you identify as not a people person, your RAS will amplify every social awkwardness while minimizing evidence of your interpersonal skills. You'll remember every stumbled conversation, but forget every meaningful connection you've made. Your identity literally shapes your reality by controlling what you notice. Change your identity, and you change what your brain allows you to see. The Ali method. Muhammad Ali didn't wait for evidence to support his identity. He declared it first, then let reality catch up. This wasn't delusion, it was strategic programming. When Ali proclaimed, "I'm the greatest" in 1962, he was a relatively unknown fighter with a 15-0 record against mostly mediocre opponents. Sonny Liston was the undisputed heavyweight champion, a terrifying force who demolished Floyd Patterson twice in the first round. By conventional logic, Ali had no business claiming greatness. But Ali understood something profound. Public declaration creates internal pressure. Once he announced his identity to the world, his subconscious had no choice but to align his actions with his words. Every training session became evidence of his greatness. Every sparring round was preparation for inevitable victory. His identity pulled his performance upward. The strategy worked. Ali's relentless self-promotion wasn't just marketing, it was mental programming. He was literally talking himself into greatness, one declaration at a time. The Blakely Blueprint. Sarah Blakely took a different but equally powerful approach. Years before Spanx became a billion-dollar empire, she was cutting the feet off pantyhose in her apartment, convinced she'd found a solution to a universal problem. But here's what most people don't know. Blakely was already calling herself the world's youngest self-made female billionaire in private, years before she had any business success to justify it. She didn't announce it publicly like Ali. Instead, she used what psychologists call identity rehearsal, privately practicing the thoughts, words, and behaviors of the person she intended to become. She studied how billionaires thought, how they spoke, how they made decisions. She wasn't mimicking them, she was becoming them. When Blakely finally pitched her idea to Neiman Marcus, she didn't approach them as a desperate entrepreneur hoping for a break. She approached them as a successful businesswoman offering them an opportunity. Her identity preceded her reality, and her reality eventually matched her identity. The Spanx empire wasn't built on a better product. Plenty of shapewear existed. It was built on Blakely's unshakable identity as someone who creates billion-dollar solutions. The fake it fallacy. Most people misunderstand identity work. They think it's about fake it till you make it, pretending to be someone you're not until external circumstances change. This approach fails because it's built on deception, and your subconscious can't be fooled. True identity work isn't about pretending. It's about recognizing who you already are beneath the limiting labels you've accepted. It's about excavating your authentic potential from under layers of other people's opinions. The difference is crucial. Faking confidence feels hollow and unsustainable. Claiming your identity as a confident person feels natural and energizing. One is performance, the other is alignment. Similarly, affirmations alone won't rewire identity. Repeating, "I am successful," while your subconscious holds evidence to the contrary, creates cognitive dissonance, not transformation. Your brain needs proof, not just proclamations. The three-step sequence. Real identity transformation follows a precise sequence. First comes the snapshot, an honest assessment of your current identity programming. Most people skip this step, but you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Grab a piece of paper and complete this sentence 10 different ways. I am someone who. Don't think too hard. Let your subconscious fill in the blanks. You might write, I am someone who works hard but never gets ahead. Or I am someone who starts projects but doesn't finish them. Or I am someone who's good with people but terrible with money. These statements reveal your current identity code. Some will empower you, others will limit you. The limiting ones are your targets for reprogramming. Next comes the script, crafting your new identity statement. This isn't wishful thinking, it's strategic programming. Your new identity should feel like a stretch, but not a fantasy. It should excite you and slightly intimidate you. Instead of, I am a millionaire, which your brain will reject if you're currently broke, try, I am someone who creates value and gets paid accordingly. Instead of, I am a natural leader, which feels false if you've never led, try, I am someone who takes initiative and inspires others. The key is present tense. Your subconscious doesn't understand future goals, only current reality. I will be successful keeps success perpetually in the future. I am successful makes it a current fact your brain must support. Finally comes the stack, daily evidence collection that proves your new identity true. This is where most people fail. They declare a new identity, but never feed it proof. Your subconscious needs evidence, and evidence comes from action. If your new identity is, I am someone who creates value, document 3 ways you created value today. If it's, I am someone who takes bold action, record 3 bold actions you took. If it's, I am someone who builds wealth, note 3 wealth-building decisions you made. The evidence doesn't have to be massive. Small actions count. The goal is consistency, not perfection. Your subconscious learns through repetition, not intensity. The mirror protocol. One of the most powerful identity installation techniques is mirror work. Every morning and evening, look yourself in the eye and speak your identity statement aloud. This isn't about self-hypnosis, it's about neural programming. When you speak to your reflection, you're engaging multiple sensory channels simultaneously: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. This multisensory approach accelerates neural pathway formation. Your brain begins to associate your face, your voice, and your words with your new identity. The morning session programs your day. The evening session reinforces the programming. Within weeks, your new identity begins to feel natural instead of foreign. Some people resist mirror work because it feels awkward or narcissistic. That resistance is your old identity fighting back. Push through it. The awkwardness fades, but the programming remains. The social amplifier. Identity exists in relationship. While private work is essential, public declaration amplifies the effect. When you announce your new identity to others, you create social pressure that supports your transformation. This doesn't mean broadcasting your goals to everyone. It means selectively sharing your identity with people who will hold you accountable. Tell your mentor you're becoming someone who takes calculated risks. Tell your spouse you're becoming someone who prioritizes health and vitality. Tell your business partner you're becoming someone who thinks strategically, not just tactically. Choose your audience carefully. Share with people who believe in your potential, not those who prefer you to stay small. The wrong social feedback can derail identity work before it takes root. The totem technique. Physical anchors can accelerate identity integration. Choose an object that represents your new identity: a ring, a watch, a piece of jewelry, even a specific pen. Wear or carry this totem daily as a tangible reminder of who you're becoming. Every time you notice the totem, it triggers a micro reminder of your new identity. These frequent, subtle reinforcements compound over time. Your subconscious begins to associate the physical object with your mental programming. The totem also serves as a decision filter. When facing choices throughout the day, glance at your totem and ask, what would someone with my identity do in this situation? The answer often becomes immediately clear. The transformation timeline. Identity work follows a predictable progression. In the first week, your new identity feels foreign, like wearing clothes that don't quite fit. Your old programming pushes back, generating doubt and resistance. This is normal. Persistence, not perfection, is your goal. By week 2, moments of natural alignment begin to emerge. You catch yourself thinking or acting from your new identity without conscious effort. These glimpses prove the programming is taking hold. Week 3 brings the first external validation. Others begin to notice changes in your presence, your decisions, your energy. They might not be able to articulate what's different, but they sense a shift. By week 4, your new identity starts to feel natural. The daily practices become automatic. Your subconscious begins to generate ideas and opportunities that align with your upgraded self-concept. Month 2 is where the magic happens. Your new identity becomes your default mode. Decisions that once required willpower now feel automatic. Your RAS has recalibrated to your new programming, filtering reality through your upgraded lens. But here's what most people don't expect. Success brings its own challenges. As your external results begin to match your internal identity, you'll face new tests. Your old social circle might resist your transformation. Imposter syndrome might whisper that you're not really this new person. These are growth pains, not stop signs. The key is to keep stacking evidence. Every day you act from your new identity, you strengthen the neural pathways. Every day you skip the work, you weaken them. Consistency is everything. Your identity is the foundation of everything that follows. Get this right, and the remaining chapters will feel like natural extensions of who you are. Get this wrong, and you'll fight yourself every step of the way. But there's something else lurking beneath your identity, something even more fundamental that can sabotage your transformation before it begins. Hidden beliefs that whisper, "You're not worthy," or "Success isn't for people like you," can poison even the strongest identity work. In the next chapter, we'll excavate these buried scripts and learn to rewrite them. Because until you silence the lies your mind tells you about what's possible, your new identity will always be fighting an uphill battle. Chapter 3, Belief Reset. 7-year-old Oprah Winfrey stood in her grandmother's kitchen, watching the older woman scrub clothes on a washboard. "You better watch me," her grandmother said, "because you're going to have to know how to do this." The message was clear. This is your destiny. This is all you'll ever be capable of. This is your ceiling. That moment crystallized into a belief that would haunt Oprah for decades. I am not worthy of anything better. It whispered in her ear during every opportunity, every relationship, every moment of potential triumph. The belief was a lie, but lies told early enough become indistinguishable from truth. Here's what's terrifying. You have similar beliefs running your life right now. Decisions made by a child's mind in moments of pain or confusion still govern your adult choices. These aren't conscious thoughts. They're buried scripts that operate below your awareness, silently sabotaging your potential. But here's what's liberating. Beliefs aren't facts. They're just stories you've told yourself so many times they feel real, and stories can be rewritten. The childhood courtroom. Your 7-year-old self was a terrible judge. No legal training, no life experience, no understanding of nuance or context. Yet somehow that child made binding decisions about your worth, your capabilities, and your place in the world. Those verdicts are still in effect. Think about it. A child who gets laughed at for a wrong answer in class might decide, "I'm not smart enough." A kid whose parents fight about money might conclude, "Money causes pain." A young person whose first business venture fails might determine, "I'm not cut out for entrepreneurship." These childhood decisions feel logical at the time. The child's brain is trying to make sense of confusing, often painful experiences. But a 7-year-old's logic is primitive. They see correlation and assume causation. They experience one event and generalize it into a universal law. The problem is that these early beliefs become the foundation for everything that follows. They shape your reticular activating system, determining what opportunities you notice and which ones slip past your awareness. They influence your risk tolerance, your relationship patterns, your career choices. They become the invisible ceiling that keeps you trapped below your potential. The memory trap. Here's where it gets interesting. Neuroscience has discovered that memories aren't fixed recordings. Every time you recall a memory, it becomes temporarily malleable, a process called memory reconsolidation. For a brief window, that memory can be edited, updated, or completely rewritten. This is revolutionary. It means your limiting beliefs aren't permanent fixtures in your mind. They're editable files that can be updated with new information. But there's a catch. Your brain resists changing beliefs, even false ones. Belief perseverance is a powerful cognitive bias that makes us cling to our original conclusions even when presented with contradictory evidence. Your mind would rather be consistent than correct. This explains why intelligent people can hold obviously limiting beliefs. It's not about intelligence, it's about the brain's preference for familiar patterns over accurate information. Your subconscious treats belief change as a threat to your identity, triggering resistance mechanisms that feel like truth but are actually just habit. The Winfrey transformation. Oprah's journey from that kitchen to global media mogul wasn't just about external circumstances changing. It was about internal beliefs being systematically dismantled and rebuilt. The turning point came when Oprah began to question the stories she'd accepted as truth. I am not worthy became, what if I am worthy? That simple shift from statement to question opened a crack in her belief system. Questions create space for new possibilities. Statements close them off. But Oprah didn't stop at questioning. She began collecting evidence that contradicted her limiting beliefs. Every small success, every positive interaction, every moment of recognition became proof that her grandmother's prediction was wrong. She wasn't destined for a life of scrubbing clothes. She was capable of something far greater. The transformation wasn't instant. Belief change happens in layers, like peeling an onion. Each layer of evidence weakens the old belief while strengthening the new one. Oprah spent years building a case against her unworthiness, one experience at a time. Today, Oprah's influence spans continents. She's touched millions of lives, built a media empire, and become one of the most respected voices in the world. But none of that would have been possible if she hadn't first changed the story she told herself about what she deserved. The Schultz strategy. Howard Schultz took a different but equally powerful approach to belief transformation. Growing up in the Brooklyn housing projects, he absorbed the message that people like us don't become successful. His father worked blue-collar jobs, struggled with money, and died young. The family narrative was clear. This is your lot in life. But Schultz had an advantage. He was exposed to a different world through sports and eventually college. He saw people who looked like him achieving things his family said were impossible. This created cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension between conflicting beliefs. Instead of resolving the dissonance by dismissing the evidence, which most people do, Schultz leaned into it. He began studying successful people, looking for patterns and principles he could apply to his own life. He wasn't trying to become someone else. He was trying to become the best version of himself. When Schultz discovered a small coffee company in Seattle, he didn't see it through the lens of his limiting beliefs. He saw it through the lens of possibility. While others saw a regional coffee roaster, Schultz envisioned a global coffeehouse culture. His transformed beliefs allowed him to see opportunities that others missed. The result was Starbucks, a company that redefined an entire industry and made Schultz one of the most successful entrepreneurs of his generation. But the real transformation wasn't in the business world. It was in Schultz's mind, where people like us don't succeed became success is available to anyone willing to work for it. The positive thinking trap. Most people approach belief change wrong. They think positive thinking alone will override decades of negative programming. They repeat affirmations like, I am wealthy, while their bank account screams otherwise. This creates cognitive dissonance without resolution, a recipe for frustration, not transformation. Positive thinking without evidence is just wishful thinking. Your subconscious mind isn't stupid. It can tell the difference between hope and reality. If you want to change a belief, you need to build a case that your logical mind can accept. This doesn't mean you need overwhelming evidence before you can change a belief. You just need enough evidence to create reasonable doubt about your current belief and reasonable hope about your new one. The key is starting with beliefs that feel like a stretch, not a fantasy. Instead of jumping from I'm broke to I'm wealthy, try I'm learning to manage money better or I'm discovering new income opportunities. These intermediate beliefs are easier for your mind to accept while still moving you in the right direction. The archaeological dig. The first step in belief transformation is excavation, digging up the buried beliefs that are running your life. This requires honest self-examination, which most people avoid because it's uncomfortable. But you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Start by listening to your internal dialogue. What stories do you tell yourself about money, success, relationships, your capabilities? Pay attention to the phrases that begin with I always, I never, I can't, or I'm not. These are often belief statements disguised as facts. Write them down without judgment. You're not trying to fix anything yet, you're just taking inventory. Some common limiting beliefs include money doesn't grow on trees, I'm not smart enough, success requires sacrifice, I don't deserve good things, or people like me don't get ahead. Once you've identified your limiting beliefs, trace them back to their origins. When did you first learn this truth? What experience taught you this lesson? Often, you'll discover that your most limiting beliefs were formed during moments of pain, confusion, or vulnerability. This isn't about blaming your past or making excuses. It's about understanding that your current beliefs were formed by a younger version of yourself who was doing the best they could with limited information. That younger self was trying to protect you, but their protective strategies may now be limiting you. The evidence revolution. Once you've identified a limiting belief, your next step is to build a case against it. This isn't about denial or wishful thinking, it's about honest evaluation of the evidence. Take the belief, I'm not good with money. Is that absolutely true? Have you ever made a smart financial decision? Have you ever saved money for something important? Have you ever avoided a bad purchase? Have you ever helped someone else with their finances? If you can find even one counterexample, the belief isn't universally true. The goal isn't to prove you're already a financial genius. The goal is to prove that your limiting belief is too absolute. Once you create doubt about the old belief, you can begin building evidence for a new one. Start collecting proof that contradicts your limiting belief. Keep a daily evidence journal where you record any action, thought, or outcome that supports your new belief. If you're working on I'm becoming better with money, document every smart financial choice, no matter how small. Choosing the generic brand over the name brand counts. Comparing prices before buying counts. Reading an article about investing counts. The evidence doesn't have to be dramatic. Your subconscious learns through repetition, not intensity. Small, consistent proof points are more powerful than occasional big wins. The truth construction. After you've weakened your limiting belief with counter-evidence, it's time to construct your new truth. This isn't about creating a fantasy. It's about crafting a more accurate and empowering story about your capabilities. Your new belief should be present tense, evidence-based, and slightly challenging. Instead of I am wealthy, try I am learning to create and manage wealth. Instead of I am confident, try I am developing unshakable confidence. Instead of I am successful, try I am building sustainable success. The word becoming is particularly powerful because it acknowledges your current reality while pointing toward your desired future. I am becoming someone who takes calculated risks feels more authentic than I am fearless when you're naturally cautious. Add a because statement to your new belief to give your logical mind a reason to accept it. I am becoming financially successful because I make smart decisions with money. I am developing leadership skills because I study successful leaders and practice what I learn. The because provides rational support for your new belief. The installation process. Belief change requires consistent reinforcement. Your new belief is competing with decades of old programming, so you need to give it every advantage. Write your new belief statement twice daily, once in the morning to program your day, once in the evening to reinforce the programming. Don't just write it mechanically, engage with it emotionally. Feel the truth of it as you write. Speak your new belief aloud while looking in the mirror. This engages multiple sensory channels and creates a stronger neural imprint. Your brain pays more attention to information that comes through multiple pathways simultaneously. Look for opportunities throughout the day to act from your new belief. If your new belief is, I'm becoming someone who takes initiative, look for small ways to demonstrate initiative. Volunteer for a project, suggest an improvement, start a conversation. Each action strengthens the neural pathway associated with your new belief. The resistance response. Don't be surprised when your old beliefs fight back. Belief change often triggers emotional resistance, anxiety, doubt, fear, even anger. This isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something significant. Your subconscious mind interprets belief change as a threat to your identity. It will generate thoughts and feelings designed to pull you back to familiar territory. Expect this resistance and prepare for it. When emotional backlash hits, use box breathing to calm your nervous system. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. Repeat until the intensity subsides. Then journal about what you're experiencing. Writing helps process emotions and prevents them from derailing your progress. Remember that resistance is temporary. Your brain is simply adjusting to new programming. The discomfort will fade as your new belief becomes familiar. The compound effect. Belief change creates a compound effect that extends far beyond the specific belief you're working on. When you prove to yourself that one limiting belief can be changed, it becomes easier to change others. You develop what psychologists call change confidence, the belief that transformation is possible. This confidence spreads to other areas of your life. If you can change your money beliefs, maybe you can change your relationship beliefs. If you can overcome your fear of failure, maybe you can tackle your fear of success. Each belief you transform makes the next one easier. More importantly, changed beliefs change your behavior, and changed behavior changes your results. When you truly believe you're capable of success, you start taking actions that successful people take. When you believe you deserve good things, you stop sabotaging opportunities. When you believe you're worthy of respect, you start setting boundaries. The external changes follow the internal ones. Your new beliefs reshape your reticular activating system, causing you to notice opportunities you previously missed. They influence your decision-making, making you more likely to take calculated risks and persist through challenges. But belief transformation is just the beginning. Even the most empowering beliefs can be undermined by an environment that constantly contradicts them. Your physical surroundings, your digital inputs, your social circle, they all send signals that either support or sabotage your new programming. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to engineer an environment that automatically reinforces your transformation. Because willpower is finite, but environmental design is forever. And the most successful people don't rely on discipline. They rely on systems that make success inevitable. Chapter 4, Prime Zone. Steve Jobs walked into his office every morning and saw nothing but white space. No clutter, no distractions, no visual noise, just clean lines, empty surfaces, and room to think. His colleagues called it obsessive. His competitors called it eccentric. But Jobs understood something most people miss. Your environment is programming you every second of every day. That stark white office wasn't just aesthetic preference, it was cognitive engineering. Every element was designed to prime his brain for one thing: revolutionary product thinking. The minimalism wasn't about style, it was about focus. The emptiness wasn't about zen, it was about mental bandwidth. Your environment is your silent partner in success or sabotage. It whispers suggestions, triggers impulses, and shapes decisions without you even noticing. Most people fight their environment daily, relying on willpower to overcome poor design. Winners engineer their environment to make success automatic. The question isn't whether your environment is influencing you, it's whether that influence is helping or hurting. The invisible puppeteer. Every surface, every sound, every smell in your environment is sending signals to your subconscious mind. These signals trigger automatic responses that bypass your conscious decision-making entirely. You think you're choosing to check your phone, reach for that snack, or procrastinate on important work. In reality, environmental cues are pulling your strings like an invisible puppeteer. Research in environmental psychology reveals that context shapes behavior more powerfully than personality. Put an honest person in a dishonest environment, and they'll often act dishonestly. Put a lazy person in an energizing environment, and they'll often act energetically. The environment doesn't just influence behavior, it overrides it. This is why willpower fails. You're not just fighting your impulses, you're fighting your surroundings. Every time you resist an environmental cue, you deplete mental energy that could be used for high-value activities. It's like trying to drive with the parking brake on. Technically possible, but exhausting and inefficient. The solution isn't stronger willpower, it's smarter design. When your environment automatically cues the behaviors you want, discipline becomes irrelevant. You're not fighting yourself, you're flowing with carefully crafted currents. The priming revolution. Priming is the psychological phenomenon where exposure to one stimulus influences response to another stimulus. Show someone words related to elderly people, and they'll walk slower afterward. Play classical music in a wine store, and customers will buy more expensive bottles. Flash images of money, and people become more competitive. Your brain is constantly being primed by your environment, whether you realize it or not. The question is, what behaviors are being primed? If your workspace is cluttered with unfinished projects, you're being primed for overwhelm and procrastination. If your phone is always within reach, you're being primed for distraction and fragmented attention. But priming works both ways. Strategic environmental design can prime the exact behaviors you want to cultivate. A clean desk primes focus. A vision board primes ambition. A bookshelf full of biographies primes growth-oriented thinking. The key is being intentional about the signals you're sending to your subconscious mind. Your reticular activating system amplifies whatever your environment emphasizes. If success symbols surround you, your RAS will tune into success opportunities. If chaos surrounds you, your RAS will generate chaotic thinking. You become what you're surrounded by, not because of magic, but because of neuroscience. The Jobs methodology. Steve Jobs didn't stumble into minimalist design. He engineered it for maximum cognitive impact. His office at Apple was famously sparse. A desk, a chair, a computer, and little else. No family photos, no awards, no decorative objects, just space to think. This wasn't about being antisocial or ungrateful. Jobs understood that every object in his visual field was competing for mental bandwidth. A cluttered environment creates cluttered thinking. A clean environment creates clean thinking. He was optimizing his cognitive environment the same way he optimized Apple's products, by removing everything unnecessary. The strategy extended beyond his personal office. Jobs insisted that Apple's entire campus reflect the same principles: clean lines, open spaces, natural light. He wanted employees to feel the same cognitive clarity he experienced in his minimalist environment. The physical space was designed to prime innovative thinking. This environmental obsession wasn't limited to aesthetics. Jobs controlled every sensory input in his workspace. The temperature, the lighting, even the sounds were carefully calibrated. He understood that environmental factors below the threshold of conscious awareness still influence performance. You might not notice that the room is 2 degrees too warm, but your brain does, and it affects your thinking. The results speak for themselves. Apple's most revolutionary products, the iMac, iPod, iPhone, iPad, were all conceived in environments designed to prime breakthrough thinking. Jobs didn't just create great products, he created environments that made great products inevitable. The rolling retreat. J.K. Rowling faced a different environmental challenge when writing the final Harry Potter book. She was famous, wealthy, and constantly interrupted. Her home had become a hub of activity. Family, friends, business calls, media requests. The environment that had supported her earlier writing was now sabotaging her focus. So Rowling did something radical. She checked into the Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh and refused to leave until the book was finished. She transformed a luxury hotel suite into a writing sanctuary, stripping away every distraction and environmental cue that didn't serve her creative process. The hotel room became her prime zone, a carefully controlled environment designed for one purpose: finishing Deathly Hallows. No internet distractions, no household responsibilities, no social obligations, just her, her laptop, and the story that needed to be told. Rowling even went so far as to turn off the room's phone and television. She covered mirrors to avoid visual distractions. She arranged the furniture to create a writing cocoon that felt separate from the outside world. Every environmental element was either supporting her writing or eliminated entirely. The strategy worked. Rowling completed the final Harry Potter novel in that hotel room, bringing the series to a conclusion that satisfied millions of readers worldwide. But the real victory wasn't literary, it was environmental. She proved that changing your environment can unlock capabilities that seemed impossible in your previous context. The discipline delusion. Most people approach productivity backwards. They try to develop more discipline instead of designing better environments. They blame themselves for lacking willpower instead of questioning why their willpower is constantly under attack. This is like trying to eat healthy while keeping junk food in every cabinet. Technically possible, but unnecessarily difficult. Every time you resist the environmental cue, you're depleting mental energy that could be used for more important decisions. The discipline delusion keeps people trapped in cycles of effort and exhaustion. They rely on motivation to overcome poor environmental design, then wonder why their motivation fades. They don't realize that motivation is finite, but environmental influence is constant. Winners flip the equation. Instead of using discipline to fight their environment, they use design to support their discipline. They create contexts where the right choices are easy and the wrong choices are difficult. They engineer their surroundings to make success the path of least resistance. This doesn't mean eliminating all challenges or difficulties. It means eliminating unnecessary friction that drains energy without adding value. Save your willpower for decisions that matter, not for resisting environmental cues that shouldn't exist in the first place. The technology trap. The modern digital environment is particularly toxic to focus and productivity. Smartphones, social media, and constant connectivity have created an attention economy where your focus is the product being sold. Every app, notification, and platform is designed to capture and monetize your mental bandwidth. Most people try to manage this digital chaos through apps and tools, productivity software, website blockers, time tracking systems. But tools can't solve design problems. Adding more technology to fix technology problems is like drinking more coffee to solve a caffeine addiction. The solution is environmental surgery, not digital band-aids. Remove the sources of distraction instead of trying to manage them. Put your phone in another room instead of relying on willpower to ignore it. Log out of social media instead of trying to limit your usage. Delete apps instead of hiding them in folders. This feels extreme to people addicted to digital stimulation, but it's actually liberating. When you remove the constant option to be distracted, your brain stops looking for distractions. When you eliminate low-value choices, you naturally gravitate toward high-value activities. The cue mapping process. Environmental design starts with awareness. Most people are unconscious of the cues surrounding them, which makes those cues more powerful, not less. The first step is mapping your current environment to understand what behaviors it's priming. Walk through your typical day and identify every environmental trigger you encounter. What do you see when you wake up? What's on your desk when you sit down to work? What's in your line of sight during phone calls? What sounds, smells, and textures are you exposed to throughout the day? Pay special attention to transition moments, the spaces between activities where your brain is deciding what to do next. These moments are particularly susceptible to environmental influence. The cues present during transitions often determine whether you move toward high-value or low-value activities. Document not just what you see, but how it makes you feel and what behaviors it triggers. Does the pile of papers on your desk create anxiety or motivation? Does the photo of your family inspire focus or distraction? Does the view from your window energize or drain you? This mapping process reveals the hidden patterns shaping your behavior. You'll discover environmental cues you never noticed, but that have been influencing you for years. Some will surprise you with their power. Others will surprise you with their subtlety. the Success Alter Strategy. Once you understand your current environmental influences, you can begin designing what I call success alters, dedicated spaces that prime specific high-value behaviors. These aren't religious altars, they're psychological ones, designed to trigger the mental states and actions that serve your goals. A success altar might be a corner of your office dedicated to strategic thinking, complete with a whiteboard, inspiring books, and a comfortable chair. It might be a meditation space with a cushion, candle, and calming artwork. It might be a workout area with equipment, motivational quotes, and energizing music. The key is single-purpose design. Each altar should prime one specific behavior or mental state. Mixing purposes dilutes the priming effect. Your strategic thinking space shouldn't also be where you pay bills or answer emails. Your workout area shouldn't also be where you watch television or take phone calls. Create visual cues that immediately communicate the altar's purpose. Use colors, objects, and arrangements that trigger the desired mental state. If you want to prime creativity, surround yourself with inspiring artwork and unconventional objects. If you want to prime focus, create clean lines and minimal visual noise. The physical act of entering a success altar should feel like stepping into a different mental zone. Your brain will quickly learn to associate the space with the behavior, making the transition automatic. Over time, simply walking into the space will trigger the desired mental state without conscious effort. The Friction Elimination Protocol. Environmental design isn't just about adding positive cues, it's about removing negative ones. Friction, anything that makes desired behaviors more difficult, is the enemy of consistency. The goal is to make good choices effortless and bad choices effortful. Start with your most important behaviors and identify every point of friction that makes them harder than necessary. If you want to exercise regularly, how many steps are required to start working out? If you want to read more, how easy is it to access books? If you want to eat healthier, how accessible are nutritious options? Then reverse engineer friction for behaviors you want to discourage. If you want to reduce social media usage, log out of all accounts and delete apps from your phone. If you want to watch less television, unplug it and put the remote in another room. If you want to reduce impulse purchases, remove stored payment information from shopping websites. The 2-minute rule is particularly powerful for reducing friction around positive behaviors. If you can start a desired behavior in less than 2 minutes, environmental resistance is minimized. Want to read more? Keep a book open on your nightstand. Want to exercise more? Lay out workout clothes the night before. Want to meditate more? Keep a meditation app open on your phone's home screen. Small friction reductions compound into massive behavioral changes over time. Removing 10 seconds of friction from a daily habit saves over an hour per year, but more importantly, it removes the micro-resistance that often prevents the habit from starting at all. The zone architecture. Advanced environmental design involves creating distinct zones for different types of activities. Your brain performs better when it can associate specific locations with specific mental states. This is why many people struggle to work from home. Their living space is associated with relaxation, not productivity. Color-coding zones can accelerate this association process. Use blue tones for focus work, green for creative activities, warm colors for social interactions. The colors don't have to be dramatic. Even subtle variations in lighting or accent pieces can create psychological boundaries between zones. Physical boundaries matter too, even in small spaces. A room divider, a different chair, or even a specific playlist can signal to your brain that you're entering a different mental zone. The key is consistency. Always use the same environmental cues for the same types of activities. The doorway reset technique amplifies zone transitions. Every time you enter a new zone, take a deep breath and set a clear intention for what you want to accomplish in that space. This conscious transition helps your brain shift gears and engage the mental state associated with the zone. The social environment factor. Your social environment is just as important as your physical one, but it's often overlooked in productivity discussions. The people you interact with regularly are constantly priming your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors through their words, energy, and expectations. Proximity to high performers creates an automatic upgrade in your own performance standards. When excellence is normalized in your social environment, you naturally raise your game to match the group standard. When mediocrity is normalized, you unconsciously lower your standards to fit in. This doesn't mean abandoning friends or family who aren't high achievers. It means being intentional about adding high performers to your regular social environment. Join mastermind groups, attend industry conferences, or schedule regular calls with people who inspire you to level up. Virtual proximity counts too. The podcasts you listen to, the books you read, and the online communities you participate in are all part of your social environment. Choose inputs that prime the thoughts and behaviors you want to cultivate. The maintenance protocol. Environmental design isn't a one-time project, it's an ongoing practice. Environments naturally drift toward entropy without conscious maintenance. What starts as a clean, focused workspace gradually accumulates clutter and distractions unless you actively maintain the design. Schedule weekly environment audits to assess whether your spaces are still serving their intended purposes. Are there new sources of distraction that need to be eliminated? Are there positive cues that have lost their impact and need to be refreshed? Are there zones that have become contaminated with conflicting purposes? Seasonal environment updates can prevent staleness and maintain priming effectiveness. Rotate artwork, rearrange furniture, or introduce new sensory elements to keep your environment fresh and engaging. Your brain adapts to consistent stimuli over time, so periodic changes maintain the priming effect. The goal isn't perfection, it's optimization. Your environment should evolve as your goals and circumstances change. What primes productivity for a startup founder might be different from what primes productivity for an established executive. Stay flexible while maintaining the core principles of intentional design. Your environment is now working for you instead of against you. Every surface, every sound, every visual cue is aligned with your highest aspirations. But environmental design is just the foundation for something even more powerful, the ability to rehearse success in your mind before it happens in reality. In the next chapter, we'll explore how champions use mental rehearsal to build neural pathways for peak performance. Because when you can see it clearly in your mind, your body knows exactly how to make it real. Visual power. Michael Jordan stood at the free throw line with 5.2 seconds left in Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals. The Chicago Bulls trailed by 1 point. The crowd was deafening. The pressure was suffocating. But Jordan felt something unexpected: calm familiarity. He had been here before, not physically, but mentally. Hundreds of times. In the quiet moments before sleep, in the locker room before games, during meditation sessions, Jordan had rehearsed this exact scenario. The crowd noise, the pressure, the weight of the moment, all of it felt like déjà vu because his brain had already lived it. Jordan sank both free throws. The Bulls won their 6th championship. But the real victory had happened months earlier, in the theater of his mind, where champions are forged before they're revealed. Your brain can't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. This isn't metaphysical speculation. It's neuroscientific fact. When you visualize an action with sufficient detail and emotion, your brain fires the same neural pathways it would use during actual execution. You're literally practicing without moving. This is the secret weapon of peak performers across every domain. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They don't just prepare for success, they experience it repeatedly before it happens in reality. The neural theater. Inside your skull sits the most sophisticated virtual reality system ever created. Your brain can generate experiences so vivid, so detailed, so emotionally compelling that they rival actual memories. This isn't imagination, it's simulation. When neuroscientists study the brains of people engaged in mental rehearsal, they discover something remarkable. Up to 90% of the same neural circuits fire during visualization as during physical execution. The motor cortex activates. The sensory regions light up. The emotional centers engage. Your brain treats vivid mental rehearsal as if it were real experience. This explains why visualization works. You're not just thinking about success, you're neurologically experiencing it. Each mental rehearsal strengthens the neural pathways associated with peak performance. You're building muscle memory without moving a muscle. Mirror neurons amplify this effect. These specialized brain cells fire both when you perform an action and when you observe or imagine that action. They're the reason you can learn by watching others, and they're why mental rehearsal creates real neural changes. Your mirror neurons don't care whether the experience is physical or mental. They respond to both with equal intensity. The implications are staggering. You can accelerate skill acquisition, build confidence, and reduce performance anxiety simply by engaging in systematic mental rehearsal. You can practice high-stakes scenarios without risk. You can experience success before you achieve it, making actual success feel inevitable rather than impossible. The Carey prophecy. Jim Carey understood this principle long before neuroscience proved it. In 1985, he was a struggling comedian driving a beat-up Toyota around Los Angeles, performing at small clubs for minimal pay. But every night, he would drive to Mulholland Drive, park overlooking the city, and engage in a ritual that would change his life. Carey would close his eyes and visualize himself as a successful actor. He would see himself on movie sets, working with A-list directors, receiving standing ovations. But he didn't stop at vague fantasies. He made his visualizations specific, detailed, and emotionally charged. The most famous part of his ritual involved writing himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated Thanksgiving 1995. He carried that check in his wallet for years, looking at it daily, visualizing the moment when such a payment would become reality. But the check was just a prop in a larger mental movie. Carey would visualize the entire experience: the negotiations, the contract signing, the feeling of financial security, the validation of his talent. He would engage all his senses, seeing the contract, hearing the congratulations, feeling the pen in his hand as he signed the deal. In 1994, just before Thanksgiving, Carey received a contract for Dumb and Dumber worth exactly $10 million. The timing wasn't coincidental. It was the result of years of mental rehearsal that had programmed his subconscious mind to recognize and pursue opportunities that aligned with his visualized future. Carey's success wasn't just about positive thinking or wishful hoping. He had neurologically prepared for success through systematic mental rehearsal. When the opportunity arose, his brain recognized it as familiar territory rather than foreign ground. The hypnagogic advantage. The most powerful time for mental rehearsal is during the hypnagogic state, that drowsy twilight between waking and sleeping when your conscious mind relaxes its grip and your subconscious becomes more receptive to programming. During this state, your brain waves shift from beta, normal waking consciousness, to alpha and theta frequencies associated with deep relaxation and heightened suggestibility. Your critical thinking faculties dial down, while your imagination and emotional centers become more active. It's the perfect neurological environment for installing new mental programs. This is why many peak performers schedule their visualization sessions just before sleep. The relaxed state makes the imagery more vivid and emotionally engaging. The reduced critical thinking means less resistance to new mental programs, and the proximity to sleep allows the subconscious mind to process and integrate the visualized experiences during dream cycles. The hypnagogic state also enhances state-dependent learning, the phenomenon where information learned in a particular mental state is best recalled when you return to that same state. By visualizing success during deep relaxation, you're more likely to access that confident, capable mindset when you need it most. But timing isn't everything. The quality of your mental rehearsal matters more than when you do it. A vivid, emotionally engaging visualization session during the day is more powerful than a half-hearted session before sleep. The 3V framework. Effective visualization follows a specific structure that maximizes neural impact. I call it the 3V framework: vivid, verbal, and visceral. Each component serves a distinct neurological purpose, and all three must be present for maximum effect. Vivid refers to the visual clarity and sensory richness of your mental rehearsal. Your brain responds more strongly to detailed, colorful, dynamic imagery than to vague, static pictures. Instead of imagining yourself being successful, visualize specific scenes: walking into a boardroom with confidence, shaking hands after closing a deal, receiving recognition for your achievements. Engage all your senses, not just vision. What sounds accompany your success? The applause of an audience, the congratulations of colleagues, the satisfying click of a signed contract? What physical sensations are present? The firm handshake of a new partner, the weight of an award in your hands, the feeling of standing tall with perfect posture. The more sensory channels you engage, the more neural pathways you activate. Your brain treats multisensory experiences as more real and important than single-sense experiences. Rich, detailed visualizations create stronger neural imprints than simple mental pictures. Verbal refers to the internal dialogue that accompanies your visualization. What are you saying to yourself during your moment of success? What are others saying to you? These verbal elements should be specific, positive, and emotionally resonant. Create a signature phrase or mantra that captures the essence of your visualized success. Jordan might have used "nothing but net" during his free throw visualizations. Carey might have said, "I am a $10 million actor" during his Hollywood rehearsals. Your verbal component should feel natural and authentic to you. Visceral refers to the emotional and physical state you embody during visualization. Success isn't just about external achievements, it's about how those achievements make you feel. Confidence, pride, satisfaction, excitement, these emotions must be present in your mental rehearsal for it to create lasting neural changes. Your posture and breathing during visualization matter too. Sit or stand as you would during your moment of success. Breathe as a confident, successful person would breathe. Your body language influences your mental state, even during visualization. Embody success physically while you rehearse it mentally. The 90-second solution. One of the biggest obstacles to consistent visualization practice is the belief that it requires long, elaborate sessions. Most people think they need 30 minutes of perfect mental focus to see results. This misconception prevents them from starting at all. The truth is that 90 seconds of focused, high-quality visualization is more powerful than 30 minutes of distracted mental wandering. Your brain responds to intensity and consistency, not duration. A brief, vivid mental rehearsal every day creates stronger neural pathways than occasional long sessions. The key is immediate action after visualization. Mental rehearsal without physical follow-through is just daydreaming. After each visualization session, take one small action that moves you toward your visualized goal. Send an email, make a phone call, research an opportunity, practice a skill. The action doesn't have to be large, but it must be immediate. This action linking serves two purposes. First, it bridges the gap between mental rehearsal and physical reality, making your visualized future feel more achievable. Second, it creates a feedback loop where visualization leads to action, which leads to results, which validates the visualization process. Over time, this 90-second practice compounds into extraordinary results. Each session strengthens your neural pathways for success. Each action builds momentum toward your goals. Each small win increases your confidence in the process. The soundtrack strategy. Sound is one of the most powerful triggers for emotional states and memories. The right soundtrack can instantly transport you to a specific mental and emotional space, making your visualizations more vivid and impactful. Choose music that matches the emotional tone of your visualized success. If you're rehearsing a confident presentation, select music that makes you feel powerful and composed. If you're visualizing creative breakthroughs, choose sounds that inspire innovation and flow. If you're rehearsing athletic performance, pick tracks that energize and focus you. The key is consistency. Use the same soundtrack for the same type of visualization over time. Your brain will begin to associate the music with the mental state, creating an instant trigger for peak performance. Eventually, hearing the music in real-world situations will automatically activate the confident, capable mindset you've rehearsed. Some performers take this a step further by creating personalized audio scripts that guide their visualization sessions. They record themselves describing their ideal performance in vivid detail, then play these recordings during mental rehearsal. The combination of their own voice, specific imagery, and emotional music creates a powerful neurological cocktail for success programming. Ambient soundscapes can be equally effective. The sound of ocean waves might enhance visualizations of calm confidence. Urban soundscapes might support rehearsals of business success. Natural sounds might accompany creative visualizations. Experiment to find the auditory environment that makes your mental rehearsals most vivid and emotionally engaging. The breathing bridge. Your breathing pattern during visualization affects both the quality of your mental imagery and the neurological impact of the session. Shallow, rapid breathing keeps you in a state of mental tension that inhibits vivid visualization. Deep, rhythmic breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, creating the relaxed alertness optimal for mental rehearsal. The most effective technique is heartbeat-paced breathing, inhaling and exhaling in rhythm with your pulse. This creates a natural, sustainable breathing pattern that enhances both relaxation and focus. Place your hand on your chest and breathe in sync with your heartbeat. 4 beats in, 4 beats hold, 4 beats out, 4 beats hold. This breathing pattern serves another crucial purpose. It embeds calmness into your success programming. When you visualize peak performance while breathing calmly and rhythmically, you're training your nervous system to remain composed under pressure. You're literally programming yourself to stay calm during high-stakes situations. Many peak performers use this breathing technique during actual performance, not just during visualization. The familiar rhythm triggers the calm, confident state they've rehearsed mentally. Their breathing becomes an anchor that connects them to their visualized success, even in the midst of real-world pressure. The simplicity principle. One of the most common visualization mistakes is overcomplication. People try to rehearse elaborate scenarios with multiple moving parts, complex storylines, and perfect details. This cognitive overload actually weakens the visualization rather than strengthening it. Effective mental rehearsal focuses on one clear outcome and one specific scene. Instead of visualizing your entire career trajectory, focus on nailing tomorrow's presentation. Instead of rehearsing general business success, visualize closing a specific deal. Instead of imagining vague popularity, rehearse one confident social interaction. Simplicity creates clarity, and clarity creates neural impact. Your brain responds better to focused, specific imagery than to complex, multi-layered scenarios. One vivid scene rehearsed repeatedly is more powerful than 10 elaborate scenarios rehearsed occasionally. This doesn't mean your visualizations should be boring or unrealistic. They should be specific and emotionally engaging while remaining focused on a single, clear outcome. The goal is to create a mental movie that your brain can easily replay and your nervous system can readily embody. The consistency code. Visualization is a skill that improves with practice. Your first attempts might feel awkward or unconvincing. Your mental imagery might be fuzzy or emotionally flat. This is normal. Like any skill, mental rehearsal becomes more powerful and natural with consistent practice. The key is showing up daily, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Your subconscious mind learns through repetition, not inspiration. Consistent practice during ordinary moments prepares you for extraordinary ones. Schedule your visualization sessions like important appointments. Put them on your calendar. Set phone reminders. Treat them as seriously as you would any other performance-enhancing activity. The champions who use mental rehearsal most effectively are those who practice it most consistently. Track your practice to maintain accountability. Keep a simple log of your daily visualization sessions. Note what you rehearsed, how vivid the imagery was, and what action you took afterward. This tracking serves as both motivation and feedback, helping you refine your technique over time. Your mind is now a training ground where you can rehearse success without risk, build confidence without pressure, and experience victory before it happens. But mental rehearsal is just one tool in the peak performer's arsenal. There's another technique that can instantly shift your emotional state and unlock capabilities you didn't know you possessed. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to create emotional anchors that give you on-demand access to your most powerful states. Because when you can summon confidence, calm, or creativity at will, you're no longer at the mercy of your moods. You're the master of them. Chapter 6, State Anchors. Tony Robbins walks onto the stage, and something electric happens. 30,000 people lean forward in their seats. The energy in the arena shifts from scattered anticipation to focused intensity. But here's what most people don't see. Before Robbins appears, he's backstage performing a ritual that would look bizarre to outsiders. He's jumping on a mini trampoline while blasting heavy metal music through noise-canceling headphones. His fists are pumping. His body is moving with explosive energy. He's not warming up his voice or reviewing his notes. He's doing something far more powerful. He's installing a peak emotional state that will carry him through the next 4 hours of performance. This isn't motivation or hype. This is state engineering, the ability to summon specific emotional and mental states on command. Robbins has compressed decades of peak performance into a 5-minute routine that instantly transforms him from ordinary human to magnetic force of nature. Your emotional state determines everything. It shapes your thinking, influences your decisions, affects your presence, and controls your performance. Most people are slaves to their states, riding emotional roller coasters they can't control. Peak performers are masters of their states, accessing optimal emotions whenever they need them. The difference between these two approaches is the difference between hoping for success and engineering it. The emotional command center. Your brain makes decisions with emotion first, then justifies them with logic afterward. This isn't a design flaw, it's a feature. Emotions process information faster than conscious thought, allowing you to respond to opportunities and threats in milliseconds rather than minutes. The problem is that most people's emotional responses are random, reactive, and often counterproductive. They feel confident when things are going well and anxious when facing challenges. They're energetic when motivated and lethargic when uninspired. Their emotional states are determined by external circumstances rather than internal choice. This emotional reactivity creates inconsistent performance. You might nail a presentation when you're feeling confident, but bomb it when you're feeling nervous, even though your knowledge and skills are identical. Your capabilities don't change, but your access to those capabilities fluctuates wildly based on your emotional state. Peak performers flip this equation. Instead of letting circumstances determine their emotional state, they use their emotional state to influence their circumstances. They've learned to access optimal states regardless of external conditions, giving them consistent access to their full capabilities. This isn't about suppressing negative emotions or maintaining artificial positivity. It's about having conscious control over your emotional responses so you can choose the state that best serves your current situation. The neuroscience of state. Your brain creates emotional states through complex networks of neurons firing in specific patterns. When you experience confidence, certain neural circuits activate. When you feel calm, different circuits engage. When you're in flow state, yet another pattern emerges. These neural patterns are like radio frequencies. Your brain can tune into different emotional stations by activating the corresponding neural networks. The key insight is that these patterns can be triggered deliberately through specific cues, not just by random circumstances. Emotional tagging is the process by which your brain associates intense feelings with environmental cues. When you experience a powerful emotion while exposed to a specific sight, sound, smell, or physical sensation, your brain creates a neural link between the cue and the emotional state. Later, encountering that cue can trigger the associated emotion automatically. This is why certain songs instantly transport you to specific memories and emotional states. Why particular scents can flood you with feelings from years ago. Why specific physical movements can shift your mood in seconds. Your brain has been creating these emotional anchors your entire life. You just haven't been doing it consciously. The somatic marker hypothesis explains how your body influences your emotional state through physical sensations. Your posture, breathing pattern, facial expression, and muscle tension all send signals to your brain about what emotional state you should be experiencing. Change your physiology, and you change your psychology. This is why power poses work. When you stand tall with your chest out and arms raised, your brain interprets these physical signals as confidence and increases testosterone while decreasing cortisol. Your body is literally programming your emotional state through physical positioning. The Robbins Revolution. Tony Robbins didn't discover state management, he systematized it. His pre-performance routine is a masterclass in rapid state installation that combines multiple neurological triggers for maximum impact. The trampoline jumping serves several purposes. The physical movement increases heart rate and activates the sympathetic nervous system, creating an energized, alert state. The rhythmic bouncing releases endorphins and creates a sense of playfulness and joy. The coordination required engages the prefrontal cortex, sharpening mental focus. The heavy metal music adds auditory anchoring to the physical movement. Robbins has conditioned himself to associate specific songs with peak performance states. When he hears those songs, his brain automatically accesses the neural patterns associated with his best performances. The music doesn't just pump him up, it triggers a specific, trained emotional state. The fist pumping and explosive movements engage his entire body in the state installation process. He's not just thinking about confidence, he's embodying it physically. His posture, breathing, and movement patterns all align with peak performance, sending consistent signals to his brain about the emotional state he wants to access. But here's the crucial part. This routine works because Robbins has practiced it consistently over decades. He's strengthened the neural pathways between these specific cues and his peak performance state through repetition. The routine isn't magic, it's neuroscience applied systematically. The result is that Robbins can access his optimal state within minutes, regardless of how he was feeling beforehand. Tired? The routine energizes him. Nervous? It installs confidence. Distracted? It creates laser focus. He's no longer dependent on external circumstances to feel peak emotions. He can generate them on command. The Williams Precision. Serena Williams takes a different but equally effective approach to state management. Her pre-serve routine is a study in precision state anchoring that demonstrates how small, consistent cues can create powerful emotional shifts. Before every serve, Williams follows an exact sequence. She bounces the ball a specific number of times, adjusts her hair in a particular way, takes a deep breath, and assumes her serving stance. This routine takes less than 30 seconds, but it serves a crucial neurological function. It triggers her optimal serving state. Each element of the routine serves as a micro-anchor. The ball bouncing creates a rhythmic, meditative focus. The hair adjustment is a physical comfort gesture that reduces anxiety. The deep breath activates the parasympathetic nervous system, creating calm alertness. The serving stance engages muscle memory and confidence patterns. Williams has performed this routine thousands of times during practice and competition, strengthening the neural association between these specific actions and her peak serving state. The routine doesn't just prepare her body to serve, it prepares her mind to access the emotional state where her best serves happen. This precision approach works because it's portable and reliable. Williams can access her optimal serving state on any court in any conditions against any opponent. Her emotional state isn't dependent on external factors, it's triggered by internal cues she controls completely. The routine also serves as a reset mechanism. If Williams feels frustrated after a missed shot or distracted by crowd noise, performing her pre-serve routine instantly returns her to her optimal state. She's not fighting negative emotions. She's replacing them with positive ones through systematic state anchoring. The anchor installation process. Creating your own state anchors follows a specific protocol that maximizes the neurological impact while minimizing the time investment. The process has 3 phases: capture, compress, and cue. The capture phase involves identifying or creating a peak emotional experience that represents the state you want to access on command. This might be a memory of your greatest professional triumph, your most confident social interaction, or your deepest sense of calm and focus. The key is choosing an experience where you felt the target emotion intensely and purely. If you don't have a sufficiently powerful memory, you can create one through visualization combined with physical state management. Use the techniques from the previous chapter to mentally rehearse yourself experiencing the desired emotional state while simultaneously using posture, breathing, and movement to embody that state physically. The compress phase involves intensifying the emotional experience to maximum intensity while simultaneously introducing the cue you want to associate with that state. This is where the neurological magic happens. Your brain creates a strong association between the peak emotional state and the specific cue. The cue can be physical, touching your thumb to your index finger; auditory, a specific song or sound; visual, a particular image or object; or even olfactory, a specific scent. The key is choosing something unique that you can control and reproduce consistently. During the compress phase, you intensify the emotional experience to a 9 or 10 out of 10 while simultaneously engaging your chosen cue. Hold this peak state for 15 to 30 seconds, allowing your brain to create a strong neural link between the emotion and the trigger. The cue phase involves reinforcing the anchor through consistent practice. Fire your anchor twice daily for 7 days, each time recalling the peak emotional state and engaging the physical or sensory trigger. This repetition strengthens the neural pathway and makes the anchor more reliable and powerful. The multi-state arsenal. Advanced practitioners don't rely on a single anchor. They develop multiple anchors for different situations and emotional states. You might have one anchor for confidence before presentations, another for calm focus during problem solving, and a third for creative energy during brainstorming sessions. Each anchor should be unique and specific to avoid cross-contamination. Using the same song for both energizing and calming anchors will weaken both associations. Your brain needs clear, distinct cues to trigger specific states reliably. Layer your anchors by combining multiple sensory channels for maximum impact. A confidence anchor might combine a specific knuckle tap, physical, a particular phrase, auditory, and a power pose, kinesthetic. The multi-sensory approach creates stronger neural pathways and more reliable state access. Practice your anchors in low-stakes situations before using them in high-pressure moments. Test your confidence anchor during casual conversations before relying on it for important presentations. Verify that your calm anchor works during minor stress before counting on it during major crises. The maintenance protocol. State anchors require periodic maintenance to remain powerful and effective. Over time, the neural associations can weaken if not reinforced, or become contaminated if used inappropriately. Refresh your anchors monthly by revisiting the original peak emotional experience and strengthening the association with your chosen cue. If possible, upgrade the anchor by using an even more powerful emotional memory or by adding additional sensory elements. Avoid anchor dilution by using your triggers only when you genuinely need to access the associated state. Casual or recreational use weakens the neurological association and reduces the anchor's effectiveness when you need it most. Monitor your anchors for effectiveness and adjust as needed. If an anchor stops working reliably, it may need to be refreshed with a stronger emotional memory or replaced with a different cue entirely. Your brain adapts to repeated stimuli over time, so periodic updates maintain optimal performance. The power pose amplifier. Combining state anchors with power poses creates a full-body approach to emotional state management that leverages both neurological and physiological pathways to peak performance. Research by Amy Cuddy and others demonstrates that specific body positions can rapidly alter hormone levels and emotional states. Standing tall with arms raised increases testosterone and decreases cortisol within minutes. Sitting up straight improves confidence and decision-making. Even smiling activates neural pathways associated with happiness and optimism. Integrate power poses into your anchor installation process by assuming a confident physical position while firing your emotional trigger. This dual approach sends consistent signals to your brain through multiple channels, creating stronger and more reliable state changes. Practice your power pose and anchor combination in private until it becomes automatic. The goal is to access your optimal state quickly and naturally without drawing attention to the process. Your state management should be invisible to others while being powerfully effective for you. The timing strategy. The effectiveness of state anchors depends partly on when and how you use them. Strategic timing can amplify their impact, while poor timing can reduce their effectiveness. Use your anchors proactively rather than reactively. Fire your confidence anchor before entering a challenging situation, not after you're already feeling nervous. Activate your calm anchor before stress peaks, not after you're already overwhelmed. Prevention is more effective than treatment when it comes to emotional state management. Create buffer time between anchor activation and performance to allow the state change to fully integrate. Don't expect to fire your anchor and immediately perform at peak level. Give yourself a few minutes for the emotional state to stabilize and your physiology to align with your psychology. Stack multiple anchors when facing particularly challenging situations. You might use a calm anchor to reduce anxiety, followed by a confidence anchor to boost self-assurance, followed by a focus anchor to sharpen concentration. This sequential approach allows you to fine-tune your emotional state for optimal performance. Your emotional states are no longer random events that happen to you. They're strategic tools you can deploy whenever you need them. You've learned to capture peak emotions and compress them into instant triggers that give you on-demand access to your best self. But state management is just one piece of the performance puzzle. There's another domain where your subconscious programming either accelerates or sabotages your success, your relationship with money and opportunity. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to rewire the deep financial scripts that determine whether you spot million-dollar opportunities or remain blind to abundance that's hiding in plain sight. Chapter 7, Wealth Wiring. Warren Buffett was 13 years old when he bought his first stock. While other kids were spending their allowance on candy and toys, young Warren was studying financial statements and calculating price-to-earnings ratios. But here's what's fascinating. He wasn't born with some mystical money gene. He was programmed differently. At age 6, Buffett bought 6 packs of Coca-Cola for 25 cents and sold individual bottles for a nickel each, a 20% profit margin that would make most adults envious. By age 11, he was buying pinball machines, placing them in barbershops, and collecting the profits. These weren't just childhood businesses. They were neural programming sessions that wired his brain to see money as a tool, not a taboo. Most people's relationship with money was programmed by very different experiences. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. These early scripts become the invisible operating system that governs every financial decision for decades to come. Your current net worth isn't just a reflection of your skills or circumstances. It's a direct output of your subconscious money programming. Change the programming, and you change the results. But first, you need to understand what code is currently running. The childhood financial court. Your money beliefs were formed during moments when you had no financial education, no business experience, and no understanding of how wealth actually works. A 5-year-old watching parents fight about bills doesn't think this is a temporary cash flow issue that can be solved through better budgeting or increased income. They think money causes pain and conflict. A 7-year-old whose family can't afford a desired toy doesn't analyze the household budget allocation. They conclude, "We don't have enough," or "I don't deserve nice things." A 10-year-old hearing that money is the root of all evil doesn't question the theological accuracy of the statement. They absorb it as fundamental truth. These childhood verdicts become the foundation for adult financial behavior. The child who learned money causes stress grows into an adult who unconsciously sabotages financial success to avoid stress. The child who learned rich people are bad grows into an adult who can't accumulate wealth without feeling guilty. The child who learned there's never enough grows into an adult who hoards money instead of investing it. The most insidious part is that these beliefs operate below conscious awareness. You don't wake up thinking, "Today I'll sabotage my income because of something I learned when I was 6." Instead, you find yourself undercharging for your services, avoiding investment opportunities, or making financial decisions that keep you trapped in familiar patterns. Money script research reveals that these early financial narratives predict adult financial behavior with startling accuracy. People who learned money is scarce tend to under-earn and oversave. People who learned money is dangerous tend to avoid financial risks, even profitable ones. People who learned "I'm not good with money" tend to delegate financial decisions to others, often to their detriment. The scarcity trap. Scarcity thinking is the most common and destructive money script. It's the belief that there's not enough to go around, that someone else's gain means your loss, that resources are finite and competition is zero-sum. This programming creates a cascade of wealth-limiting behaviors that compound over time. Scarcity thinkers chronically underprice their services because they fear losing customers to cheaper alternatives. They avoid raising prices even when demand exceeds supply. They compete on cost instead of value, trapping themselves in low-margin businesses that require constant hustle to survive. Scarcity programming also triggers zero-risk bias, the tendency to avoid any possibility of loss, even when the potential gains far outweigh the risks. Scarcity thinkers keep money in savings accounts, earning 1% interest, while inflation erodes their purchasing power at 3% annually. They avoid stock market investments that have historically returned 10% annually because they can't tolerate the possibility of short-term losses. This risk aversion extends beyond investments to business opportunities. Scarcity thinkers avoid launching new products, entering new markets, or pursuing ambitious goals because they focus on what they might lose rather than what they might gain. They optimize for safety instead of growth, ensuring mediocre results while avoiding exceptional ones. The irony is that scarcity thinking creates the very scarcity it fears. By undercharging, avoiding risks, and thinking small, scarcity-programmed individuals ensure they never accumulate enough wealth to feel secure. Their programming becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The Buffett breakthrough. Warren Buffett's childhood programming was radically different. Instead of learning that money was scarce or dangerous, he learned that money was abundant and opportunity was everywhere. His father, Howard Buffett, was a stockbroker and congressman who discussed investments and business opportunities at the dinner table. Young Warren absorbed a fundamentally different money script. Money is a tool for creating more money. Risk isn't something to be avoided, it's something to be calculated and managed. The goal isn't to preserve capital, it's to deploy capital efficiently to generate returns. This programming shaped Buffett's entire approach to wealth building. He doesn't see a stock purchase as risking money, he sees it as deploying capital to acquire a piece of a profitable business. He doesn't fear market volatility, he welcomes it as an opportunity to buy quality companies at discount prices. Buffett's famous quote, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful," reflects his abundance programming. While scarcity thinkers panic during market downturns and sell at losses, Buffett sees crashes as shopping opportunities. His brain is wired to spot value where others see danger. This programming extends beyond investing to business strategy. Buffett doesn't compete on price. He builds economic moats that allow his companies to charge premium prices, He doesn't diversify to minimize risk. He concentrates on his best opportunities to maximize returns. He doesn't optimize for short-term gains. He thinks in decades, allowing compound interest to work its magic. The result is that Buffett has become one of the wealthiest people in history, not through luck or inheritance, but through superior money programming that allows him to see opportunities others miss and make decisions others fear. The Blakely Bootstrap. Sarah Blakely's journey from door-to-door fax machine salesperson to billionaire founder of Spanx illustrates how abundance programming can overcome resource constraints. When Blakely had her idea for footless pantyhose, she had no fashion industry experience, no business connections, and only $5,000 in savings. Scarcity programming would have focused on all the reasons the idea couldn't work: insufficient capital, lack of industry knowledge, established competition, manufacturing challenges. Blakely's abundance programming focused on the opportunity, a massive market need that no one was addressing effectively. Instead of seeing her $5,000 as not enough, Blakely saw it as enough to get started. Instead of viewing her lack of industry experience as a disadvantage, she saw it as freedom from conventional thinking. Instead of being intimidated by established competitors, she saw their complacency as an opportunity for disruption. Blakely's pricing strategy reveals her abundance programming most clearly. When department stores suggested a retail price of $12 to $14 for Spanx, Blakely insisted on $20. She understood that premium pricing signals premium value and that customers often associate higher prices with higher quality. This pricing decision was crucial to Spanx's success. The higher margins allowed Blakely to invest in marketing, product development, and expansion without external funding. She maintained control of her company while building a billion-dollar brand, proving that abundance thinking can overcome resource constraints. Blakely's story demonstrates that wealth building isn't primarily about having money. It's about having the right mental programming to recognize opportunities, take calculated risks, and price value appropriately. The ROI rewiring process. Transforming your money programming starts with auditing your current financial scripts. Most people have never consciously examined their money beliefs, which is why those beliefs continue to operate unchallenged. Complete this sentence 10 different ways. Money is. Don't think too hard. Let your subconscious fill in the blanks. You might write, money is the root of all evil, or money is hard to come by, or money doesn't buy happiness. These statements reveal your current money programming. Next, trace each belief back to its origin. When did you first learn that money was scarce, dangerous, or corrupting? What experiences shaped these beliefs? Understanding the source of your money scripts helps you recognize them as learned responses rather than fundamental truths. Now challenge each limiting belief with evidence. Is it absolutely true that money is scarce? Look around. Money is being created and exchanged constantly. Trillions of dollars flow through global markets daily. The economy grows year after year, creating new wealth continuously. Scarcity is a perception, not a reality. Is it true that rich people are inherently bad? Consider wealthy individuals who use their resources for philanthropy, job creation, and innovation. Bill Gates has donated billions to fight disease and poverty. Elon Musk is using his wealth to advance sustainable energy and space exploration. Wealth can be a force for good when wielded responsibly. Replace each limiting belief with an empowering alternative. Instead of money is scarce, try money flows to value creation. Instead of rich people are greedy, try wealth enables greater impact. Instead of I'm not good with money, try I'm learning to manage money effectively. The option value revolution. One of the most powerful wealth-building concepts is option value, the idea that small investments can create disproportionately large opportunities. This reframes risk from what might I lose to what might I gain access to. Traditional risk analysis focuses on downside protection. What's the worst that could happen? Option value thinking focuses on upside potential. What's the best that could happen, and what would that be worth? Consider a $1,000 investment in learning a new skill. Traditional thinking sees this as a cost, money spent with no guaranteed return. Option value thinking sees this as purchasing access to potentially massive opportunities. That skill might lead to a promotion, a career change, or a business opportunity worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The same principle applies to business investments. A $10,000 marketing experiment might fail completely, but it might also discover a customer acquisition channel that generates millions in revenue. The downside is limited to the investment amount, but the upside is potentially unlimited. This shift in thinking transforms your relationship with risk. Instead of avoiding uncertainty, you begin seeking asymmetric opportunities, situations where the potential gains far exceed the potential losses. You start making small bets that could pay off big rather than avoiding all bets to prevent small losses. Warren Buffett exemplifies option value thinking. His investments in companies like Coca-Cola and Apple weren't guaranteed successes when he made them, but the potential returns were so large relative to the risks that the investments made sense even if most of them failed. The profit-first architecture. Most people manage money backwards. They earn income, pay expenses, and save whatever's left over. This approach ensures that wealth building happens last, if at all. Profit-first thinking reverses this sequence. Pay yourself first, then figure out how to live on what remains. This isn't just about personal budgeting. It's about rewiring your brain to prioritize wealth building over consumption. When you automatically allocate a percentage of every dollar to investments before paying other expenses, you're programming your subconscious to view wealth building as non-negotiable. Create separate accounts for different financial purposes: immediate expenses, emergency fund, investment capital, and opportunity fund. Automatically allocate every dollar of income into these buckets according to predetermined percentages. This removes emotion and impulse from financial decisions while ensuring consistent wealth building. The Opportunity Fund is particularly important for abundance programming. This account exists solely to take advantage of unexpected opportunities, investment deals, business partnerships, skill development, or asset purchases. Having readily available opportunity capital trains your brain to look for ways to deploy it profitably. Visual tracking amplifies the psychological impact of wealth building. Create charts that show your net worth growing over time, like levels in a video game. Your brain responds to visual progress indicators, releasing dopamine that reinforces wealth-building behaviors. The daily ROI ritual. Abundance programming requires daily reinforcement through conscious attention to return on investment. Each evening, ask yourself, what produced the highest return on my time, energy, or money today? This question trains your brain to recognize and prioritize high-value activities. Track these insights in a daily ROI journal. You might discover that an hour spent networking generates more value than 8 hours of routine work, or that investing in productivity tools saves more time than they cost, or that premium pricing attracts better customers than discount pricing. This daily practice gradually rewires your reticular activating system to notice opportunities for leverage and efficiency. You begin spotting patterns that others miss: undervalued assets, unmet market needs, inefficient processes that could be improved. The compound effect of this daily attention is profound. Small improvements in ROI thinking compound into massive improvements in financial results over time. You begin making decisions based on potential returns rather than immediate costs, optimizing for long-term wealth building rather than short-term expense minimization. The pricing psychology shift. One of the fastest ways to increase income is to raise your prices, but scarcity programming makes this feel impossible. What if customers leave? What if no one will pay that much? What if I'm not worth it? These fears keep people trapped in low-margin businesses that require constant hustle to survive. Abundance programming flips this equation. Instead of asking, what if they say no, ask, what if they say yes? Instead of focusing on customers you might lose, focus on customers you might attract. Premium pricing often attracts better customers who value quality over cost. Implement the price doubles until 20% pushback rule. Gradually increase your prices until about 20% of prospects object to the cost. This indicates you've found the optimal price point, high enough to maximize margins, but not so high that you lose most customers. This pricing strategy serves multiple purposes. Higher margins provide more resources for marketing, product development, and business growth. Premium pricing positions you as a quality provider rather than a commodity supplier, and the increased profitability reduces the stress and desperation that comes from operating on thin margins. Remember that price is just one factor in purchasing decisions. Value, convenience, quality, service, and brand reputation often matter more than cost. Focus on increasing the value you provide rather than competing on price alone. Your relationship with money has been transformed from scarcity to abundance, from fear to opportunity, from hoarding to investing. You now see wealth as a tool for creating more wealth rather than a finite resource to be protected. Your brain automatically scans for leverage opportunities, while your pricing reflects the true value you provide. But even the most sophisticated wealth programming can be undermined without proper feedback systems. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to create measurement and correction mechanisms that ensure your transformation sticks and accelerates over time. Because what gets measured gets optimized, and what gets optimized gets multiplied. Chapter 8, Feedback Loop. The rocket exploded again. Elon Musk stood in the SpaceX control room watching millions of dollars of engineering disintegrate in a spectacular fireball. The third Falcon 1 failure in a row. Most people would see catastrophe. Musk saw data. Within hours, his team was dissecting telemetry, analyzing video footage, and identifying the precise moment when things went wrong. They weren't mourning the loss, they were mining it for insights. Every failure was a teacher, every explosion a lesson in what not to do next time. This wasn't reckless optimism or denial. This was systematic feedback processing that would eventually put SpaceX rockets into orbit, revolutionize space travel, and make Musk one of the most successful entrepreneurs in history. But the real breakthrough wasn't technological, it was methodological. Most people avoid feedback. They make decisions, hope for the best, and move on without examining what worked or what didn't. They repeat the same mistakes because they never systematically analyze their failures. They miss opportunities to amplify their successes because they never study what made them work. Your subconscious mind is constantly learning from experience, but without conscious feedback systems, it learns the wrong lessons. It might conclude that taking risks is dangerous after one failure, or that success was just luck after one win. Random learning leads to random results. Systematic feedback transforms your subconscious from a confused student into a precision learning machine. The cybernetic secret. Your brain operates like a cybernetic system, constantly sensing, adjusting, and correcting course based on feedback from the environment. This is how you learn to walk, talk, and ride a bicycle. You tried something, got feedback, adjusted, and tried again. The feedback loop was immediate and clear. But as adults, we often break this natural learning system. We make decisions and never examine the results. We set goals and never track progress. We implement strategies and never measure outcomes. We've disconnected from the feedback that makes learning possible. TOTE, test, operate, test, exit, is the fundamental pattern of all intelligent behavior. You test current conditions, operate based on that information, test the results, and either exit if successful or loop back to adjust your approach. This cycle continues until you achieve your desired outcome. Winners compress this cycle. They test quickly, operate efficiently, measure immediately, and adjust rapidly. Losers stretch the cycle. They test slowly, operate without clear metrics, measure infrequently, and adjust reluctantly. The speed of your feedback loop determines the speed of your progress. Cognitive closure explains why feedback feels so satisfying. Your brain craves completion and resolution. When you measure progress toward a goal, you're giving your brain the closure it needs to stay motivated and engaged. Without measurement, goals feel abstract and motivation fades. This is why people who track their habits are more likely to maintain them. Why businesses that measure key metrics outperform those that don't. Why athletes who analyze their performance improve faster than those who just practice. Feedback doesn't just inform, it motivates. The Musk methodology. SpaceX's approach to rocket development illustrates feedback loops in action. Traditional aerospace companies spend years designing, building, and testing rockets before attempting a launch. If something goes wrong, they spend more years analyzing and redesigning before trying again. Musk flipped this approach. Instead of trying to get everything perfect before testing, SpaceX builds quickly, tests frequently, and iterates rapidly. They embrace failure as a learning tool rather than avoiding it as a catastrophe. Their feedback loops are measured in months, not years. This methodology extends beyond rocket science to every aspect of Musk's businesses. Tesla doesn't wait for perfect battery technology before launching electric vehicles. They improve the technology through real-world feedback from customers. The Boring Company doesn't design perfect tunnels in theory. They dig test tunnels and learn from the experience. Musk's personal decision-making follows the same pattern. He makes decisions quickly based on available information, implements them immediately, measures the results carefully, and adjusts rapidly based on feedback. He doesn't wait for perfect information because perfect information never comes. This rapid iteration approach allows Musk to outpace competitors who are still planning while he's already learning. By the time traditional companies launch their first attempt, SpaceX has already failed, learned, and succeeded multiple times. The feedback loop becomes a competitive advantage. The key insight is that Musk treats every decision as an experiment rather than a permanent commitment. This reduces the emotional weight of individual choices while increasing the speed of learning. When decisions are experiments, failures become data points rather than disasters. The Dalio difference. Ray Dalio built Bridgewater Associates into the world's largest hedge fund using a different but equally powerful feedback system. While Musk focuses on rapid external iteration, Dalio focuses on systematic internal reflection. Dalio's principles methodology requires every significant decision to be logged, tracked, and analyzed. When Bridgewater makes an investment, they record their reasoning, expectations, and confidence level. When the investment plays out, they compare the actual results to their predictions and extract lessons for future decisions. This decision journal approach reveals patterns that would otherwise remain hidden. Maybe Dalio is overconfident about technology investments, but underconfident about emerging markets. Maybe the team makes better decisions in the morning than the afternoon. Maybe certain types of analysis lead to better outcomes than others. The feedback isn't just about investment performance, it's about decision-making quality. Dalio separates good decisions from good outcomes, recognizing that you can make the right decision and still get a bad result due to factors beyond your control. The goal is to improve the decision-making process, not just the outcomes. Bridgewater's radical transparency culture extends this feedback principle to interpersonal relationships. Employees are encouraged to give direct feedback to anyone, regardless of hierarchy. Meetings are recorded and analyzed. Performance is measured and discussed openly. The entire organization becomes a feedback-generating machine. This systematic approach to feedback has allowed Bridgewater to consistently outperform markets and competitors over decades. They're not just managing money, they're optimizing their decision-making processes through continuous feedback and adjustment. The measurement trap. Most people approach feedback wrong. They try to measure everything, creating complex dashboards with dozens of metrics that overwhelm rather than inform. Or they measure vanity metrics that feel good but don't drive results. Or they measure too infrequently to enable course correction. The key is identifying your one metric that matters, the single number that best indicates progress toward your most important goal. For a business, this might be monthly recurring revenue. For a salesperson, it might be qualified leads generated. For a writer, it might be words published per week. This doesn't mean other metrics don't matter. It means one metric gets primary attention and drives daily decisions. When you're clear about what matters most, you can make trade-offs confidently and allocate resources effectively. Your one metric that matters should be leading rather than lagging. Leading indicators predict future results and can be influenced by your actions. Lagging indicators report past results but can't be changed directly. Revenue is a lagging indicator. It tells you what happened last month. Pipeline activity is a leading indicator. It predicts what will happen next month. The metric should also be actionable. You should be able to take specific steps to improve it. Happiness is hard to act on directly. Number of meaningful conversations per week is actionable and likely correlates with happiness. Finally, the metric should be measurable frequently enough to enable course correction. Annual reviews are too infrequent for most goals. Monthly reviews work for strategic initiatives. Weekly reviews work for tactical execution. Daily reviews work for habit formation. The weekly wisdom ritual. The most powerful feedback practice is the weekly review, a structured reflection session that captures lessons from the past week and sets intentions for the next. This 30-minute ritual can accelerate your progress more than hours of additional effort. Start with your one metric that matters. What was the result this week? How does it compare to your target? What actions drove the result? What external factors influenced it? This quantitative analysis provides objective feedback about your progress. Next, conduct a decision debrief. What significant decisions did you make this week? What did you expect to happen? What actually happened? What lessons can you extract? This qualitative analysis improves your decision-making process over time. The 4-question postmortem provides a simple framework for extracting insights. What went right? What went wrong? Why did these things happen? What will you do differently next time? These questions force you to think systematically about cause and effect rather than just celebrating wins or lamenting losses. End the review by setting intentions for the coming week. Based on what you learned, what will you focus on? What experiments will you try? What behaviors will you change? This forward-looking component ensures that insights translate into action. The weekly review should be scheduled like any important appointment. Block time on your calendar, eliminate distractions, and treat it as seriously as you would a meeting with your most important client. Consistency is more important than perfection. A brief review every week is better than a comprehensive review once a month. The emotional data layer. Traditional feedback focuses on objective metrics and logical analysis, but emotions provide crucial data that pure numbers miss. How you feel about your progress is as important as the progress itself, because emotions drive motivation and persistence. Tag your quantitative data with emotional indicators. Use simple emojis or numerical scales to capture your energy level, confidence, stress, and satisfaction alongside your performance metrics. This emotional data reveals patterns that numbers alone can't show. You might discover that your best performance weeks correlate with high energy levels, suggesting that energy management is crucial to your success. Or that your confidence predicts results better than effort, indicating that mindset work should be a priority. Or that stress above a certain level actually improves your performance, challenging assumptions about work-life balance. Emotional data also helps you interpret quantitative results more accurately. A week with poor numbers but high energy and learning might be more valuable than a week with good numbers but low engagement and burnout. The emotional context helps you understand whether current performance is sustainable. This emotional awareness also enables better decision-making. If you notice that certain activities consistently drain your energy while others energize you, you can restructure your schedule accordingly. If you recognize that your confidence affects your performance, you can prioritize confidence-building activities. The accountability amplifier. Feedback becomes more powerful when it's shared. Having an accountability partner who reviews your metrics and insights with you creates social pressure that reinforces positive behaviors and discourages backsliding. Choose someone who shares your commitment to growth and improvement. This might be a business partner, mentor, coach, or peer who's working on similar goals. The key is finding someone who will be honest about your progress and supportive of your efforts. Share your weekly dashboard with your accountability partner and review it together regularly. Discuss what's working, what isn't, and what you're learning. The act of explaining your results to someone else forces you to think more clearly about cause and effect. Your accountability partner can also spot patterns that you miss. They might notice that your performance dips every third week, or that you consistently overestimate how long projects will take, or that you make excuses for certain types of failures. External perspective reveals blind spots that self-reflection alone can't uncover. The relationship should be reciprocal. Review your partner's metrics and insights as well. Teaching and coaching others improves your own analytical skills while strengthening the accountability relationship. The visual motivation system. Your brain responds powerfully to visual progress indicators. Charts, graphs, and tracking systems that show improvement over time release dopamine and reinforce positive behaviors. This is why video games are so addictive. They provide constant visual feedback about progress and achievement. Create visual representations of your key metrics that make progress immediately apparent. This might be a simple line chart showing your one metric that matters over time, or a habit tracker that shows your consistency with important behaviors, or a dashboard that displays multiple metrics in an easy-to-scan format. The key is making the visuals prominent and frequently visible. Put them where you'll see them daily, on your computer desktop, office wall, or phone home screen. The regular visual reminder keeps your goals top of mind and motivates continued effort. Celebrate milestones visually as well. Mark significant achievements on your charts. Take screenshots of important metrics. Create before and after comparisons that show how far you've come. These visual celebrations reinforce the feedback loop and maintain motivation during difficult periods. The course correction protocol. The purpose of feedback isn't just measurement, it's course correction. When your metrics show you're off track, you need systematic processes for getting back on course quickly and efficiently. Establish trigger points that automatically initiate course correction. If your one metric that matters drops below a certain threshold for 2 consecutive weeks, what specific actions will you take? If your energy levels consistently rate below a certain point, what changes will you make to your schedule or priorities? These predetermined responses remove emotion and hesitation from course correction. Instead of debating whether action is needed, you simply execute the predetermined protocol. This speeds up the feedback loop and prevents small problems from becoming large ones. The course correction should be proportional to the deviation. Small dips might require minor adjustments to daily habits. Larger problems might require fundamental changes to strategy or approach. The key is responding quickly and appropriately rather than ignoring problems or overreacting to normal fluctuations. Document your course corrections and their results. This creates a playbook of effective responses that you can use when similar situations arise in the future. Over time, you'll develop a sophisticated understanding of what works in different circumstances. Your feedback systems are now running like precision instruments, capturing data, generating insights, and enabling rapid course correction. You've transformed from someone who hopes for progress to someone who engineers it through systematic measurement and adjustment. But all the feedback in the world won't matter if you don't have the right framework to integrate everything you've learned. In the final chapter, we'll explore how identity, beliefs, environment, visualization, state management, wealth programming, and feedback loops combine into a self-reinforcing system that makes extraordinary results feel inevitable rather than impossible. Chapter 9, Limitless Drive. Serena Williams stands at the baseline, down match point in the 2012 U.S. Open final. The crowd is deafening, the pressure is suffocating. Her opponent Victoria Azarenka is serving for the championship. But Williams feels something extraordinary, complete calm. This isn't natural talent or genetic gift. This is the result of 20 years of systematic mental conditioning. Every element of her subconscious programming is firing in perfect synchronization. Her identity as a champion overrides the fear of failure. Her visualization rehearsals have prepared her for this exact moment. Her state anchors summon unshakable confidence. Her feedback systems have optimized every aspect of her game. Williams breaks serve, wins the set, and claims her fourth U.S. Open title. But the real victory happened years earlier, in the quiet moments when she rewrote her mental code one program at a time. You now possess the same systematic approach to subconscious programming that separates champions from competitors, moguls from managers, legends from the forgotten. 8 precision tools that transform your mind from saboteur to servant, from obstacle to engine. The question isn't whether this system works. The neuroscience is clear, the case studies are documented, the results are measurable. The question is whether you'll use it. The integrated engine. What you've learned isn't 8 separate techniques, it's one integrated system where each component amplifies the others. Your identity shapes your beliefs filter your environment cues your visualizations trigger your state anchors. Your state anchors influence your wealth programming. Your wealth programming drives your decisions. Your feedback loops optimize everything. This isn't addition, it's multiplication. Each element doesn't just add to your capabilities, it multiplies them. A clear identity makes belief change easier. Supportive environments make visualization more vivid. Optimal states make wealth thinking more natural. Systematic feedback makes everything more effective. The compound effect is exponential, not linear. Small improvements in each area create massive improvements in overall performance. A 10% upgrade in identity, beliefs, environment, visualization, state control, wealth programming, decision-making, and feedback creates a 214% improvement in total capability. But the real magic happens when the system becomes self-reinforcing. Success in one area generates confidence that spills into other areas. Better results create positive feedback that strengthens your programming. Improved performance validates your new identity, making it feel more natural and authentic. Your subconscious mind, once scattered and conflicted, now operates with laser focus. Every neural pathway points toward your goals. Every automatic response serves your highest aspirations. Every unconscious decision moves you closer to your vision. The decoder advantage. You now possess something most people lack, the ability to decode any goal into subconscious instructions. When you want to achieve something, you don't just hope and hustle. You systematically program your mind to make success inevitable. Want to build a business? Start with identity. I am someone who creates value and gets paid accordingly. Install beliefs that support entrepreneurship. Opportunities are everywhere for those who look. Design an environment that cues business thinking. Success books, entrepreneur podcasts, networking events. Visualize yourself closing deals, leading teams, celebrating milestones. Anchor confidence and persistence to physical triggers. Program abundance, thinking about money and risk. Create feedback systems that track progress and optimize performance. Want to improve relationships? Identity. I am someone who connects deeply with others. Beliefs. People are fundamentally good and want to be understood. Environment. Social activities, relationship books, meaningful conversation prompts. Visualization. Successful interactions, conflict resolution, emotional intimacy. State anchors for empathy, patience, and warmth. Wealth programming that values relationships over transactions. Feedback systems that track relationship quality and communication effectiveness. Want to master a skill? Identity. I am someone who achieves mastery through deliberate practice. Beliefs. Expertise is built through consistent effort over time. Environment. Practice space, learning resources, expert mentors. Visualization. Perfect execution, competitive success, recognition for excellence. State anchors for focus, persistence, and flow. Wealth programming that invests in skill development. Feedback systems that measure progress and identify improvement areas. The framework is universal. The applications are limitless. You're no longer guessing what might work. You're engineering what will work. The pressure paradox. High-stakes situations no longer trigger panic. they trigger peak performance. When pressure rises, your programming kicks in automatically. Your identity reminds you who you are. Your beliefs frame challenges as opportunities. Your environment supports optimal thinking. Your visualizations feel like déjà vu. Your state anchors summon confidence. Your wealth programming spots leverage. Your feedback systems guide decisions. This is the pressure paradox. The bigger the stakes, the better you perform. While others crumble under stress, you thrive in it. While others avoid challenges, you seek them. While others hope for luck, you create certainty. Your nervous system has been conditioned for excellence. Stress hormones that once triggered fight or flight now trigger flow state. Adrenaline that once caused anxiety now fuels focus. Pressure that once paralyzed now energizes. You make decisions with calm speed because your subconscious has already done the analysis. You negotiate with quiet confidence because your programming knows your worth. You take calculated risks because your wealth wiring sees opportunity where others see danger. The relationship revolution. Your transformation extends far beyond personal achievement. It revolutionizes your relationships. When you're no longer driven by insecurity, neediness, or scarcity, you connect with others from a place of strength and abundance. Emotional control creates deeper empathy. When you can manage your own emotional state, you're not reactive to others' emotions. You can stay calm during conflicts, patient during misunderstandings, and supportive during difficulties. Your emotional stability becomes an anchor that others can rely on. Identity clarity creates stronger boundaries. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you don't compromise your values to please others. You attract people who appreciate your authenticity while naturally repelling those who don't. Your relationships become more genuine and fulfilling. Abundance programming eliminates relationship scarcity. You don't cling to toxic relationships because you fear being alone. You don't tolerate disrespect because you need approval. You don't compete with friends because you believe there's enough success for everyone. Your presence becomes magnetic. People are drawn to your calm confidence, your clear communication, your generous spirit. You become someone others want to be around, work with, and learn from. Your network expands naturally as your programming attracts high-quality relationships. The capability explosion. Capabilities you never thought possible become accessible. You negotiate million-dollar deals without sweating because your programming has prepared you for success. You speak to audiences of thousands because your visualization has rehearsed every moment. You launch ventures that scale rapidly because your systems thinking sees leverage everywhere. Your learning speed accelerates dramatically. New skills integrate faster because your brain is optimized for growth. Complex concepts become clear because your thinking is systematic. Expertise develops quicker because your practice is deliberate and feedback-driven. Your creative capacity expands exponentially. When you're not constrained by limiting beliefs or scarcity thinking, your imagination runs free. You see solutions others miss, opportunities others ignore, possibilities others can't conceive. Your leadership presence emerges naturally. People follow you not because of your title or authority, but because of your clarity, confidence, and competence. You inspire others through your example, influence through your integrity, and impact through your vision. The effortless evolution. The most remarkable aspect of this transformation is how effortless it becomes over time. What initially required conscious effort gradually becomes automatic. Your new programming doesn't feel like work. It feels like who you are. Neural pathways strengthen with use. The more you operate from your new identity, the more natural it feels. The more you apply your new beliefs, the more obvious they seem. The more you use your visualization and state management skills, the more automatic they become. Execution becomes lighter, not heavier. Instead of fighting yourself to take action, you find yourself naturally gravitating toward high-value activities. Instead of forcing yourself to think positively, you discover that optimism is your default state. Instead of struggling to make good decisions, you find that wise choices feel obvious. Your feedback systems create a continuous improvement loop that requires minimal conscious attention. You automatically notice what's working and what isn't. You instinctively adjust course when needed. You naturally optimize for better results. The compound interest of habits multiplies your gains over time. Small daily improvements create massive annual transformations. Consistent weekly practices generate extraordinary decade-long results. Your growth becomes exponential rather than linear. The Williams Standard. Serena Williams didn't achieve her record-breaking success through talent alone. She achieved it through systematic mental conditioning that sustained excellence across decades. Her 23 Grand Slam singles titles represent more than athletic achievement. They represent the power of programmed excellence. Williams' identity as the greatest tennis player of all time wasn't just confidence, it was programming that shaped every aspect of her preparation and performance. Her beliefs about her capabilities weren't just positive thinking, they were neural pathways that enabled extraordinary resilience and determination. Her visualization practices weren't just mental exercises, they were neurological rehearsals that prepared her for every possible scenario. Her state management wasn't just emotional control, it was systematic access to peak performance under maximum pressure. Her approach to competition wasn't just about winning, it was about continuous improvement through systematic feedback and adjustment. Her longevity wasn't just about physical conditioning, it was about mental programming that sustained motivation and excellence across 2 decades. Williams proves that peak performance isn't a momentary achievement. It's a sustainable way of operating when your subconscious programming is aligned with your conscious goals. She demonstrates that greatness isn't about perfection, it's about systematic optimization over time. The implementation imperative. Knowledge without implementation is worthless. Understanding without action is academic. You now know what separates peak performers from everyone else. The question is whether you'll join their ranks. Start immediately with your identity statement. Right now, before you finish this chapter, write one sentence that captures who you're becoming. I am someone who. Make it present tense, make it powerful, make it personal. This single sentence will begin rewiring your subconscious programming immediately. Tonight, before you sleep, conduct your first visualization session. Spend 90 seconds mentally rehearsing tomorrow's most important activity. See yourself succeeding, feel the emotions of achievement, experience the satisfaction of excellence. Your brain will begin building neural pathways for success while you sleep. Tomorrow morning, implement your first environmental change. Remove one distraction from your workspace. Add one success cue to your environment. Create one physical trigger that reminds you of your new identity. Small changes in context create large changes in behavior. Schedule your first weekly review for this Friday. Block 30 minutes on your calendar. Choose your one metric that matters. Begin tracking your progress systematically. What gets measured gets optimized, and what gets optimized gets multiplied. The moment of truth. You stand at a crossroads that will define the next decade of your life. Path 1 leads back to yesterday's patterns, hoping for different results while running the same mental programs. Path 2 leads towards systematic transformation, engineering success through subconscious reprogramming. Most people choose Path 1. They read books like this, feel inspired for a few days, then gradually drift back to old patterns. They blame external circumstances for their results while ignoring the internal programming that creates those circumstances. You're not most people. You've invested the time to understand how your mind really works. You've learned the systematic approach that separates champions from competitors. You possess the tools to transform your subconscious from obstacle to engine. The clock is running. Every day you delay is another day your competitors pull ahead using superior mental programming. Every week you procrastinate is another week of missed opportunities and unrealized potential. Every month you hesitate is another month closer to looking back with regret instead of forward with excitement. Your subconscious mind is waiting for instructions. It's been running old programs written by a younger, less informed version of yourself. It's ready to be upgraded optimized, and aligned with your highest aspirations. You own the code, you control the programming, you determine the output. Greatness isn't a destination, it's a decision. Excellence isn't an accident, it's an algorithm. Success isn't luck, it's systematic subconscious programming applied consistently over time. The transformation begins now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect, now. Your future self is watching, your potential is waiting, your moment is here. Begin.